Council, come to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mandy, would you please call the roll?
DeYoung.
Here.
Vanderhorst.
Here.
Butler.
Here.
Hopkins is absent. Van Strylen.
Here.
And Crosstone is absent.
City Council has adopted a code of civility. As elected officials, we pledge to promote civility through extending respect to others, listening to understand, disagreeing without disrespect, engaging collaboratively, and speaking up to address incivility. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast for Pella TV, so anyone who wishes to speak to council, please approach the microphone podium there and before speaking, so that those listening at home can hear you and see you on camera. Can I get a motion for approval of the tentative agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Van Strylen, Vanderhorst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion passed. I would like to reappoint Brent Lancer to the Building Code Board of Appeals. He has served on the board since 2007. No meetings were held during his term. His position on the board is one in the 1 mile extraterritorial jurisdiction. The Marion County Board of Supervisors approved this reappointment on May 13, 2025. If approved, Brent's new term would expire on August 1, 2028. We had a motion for approval.
So moved. Support.
Van Strylen, DeYoung, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. I would like to appoint Matthew Kelly to the Library Board of Trustees. Matthew and his family have lived in Pella for over 19 years and value the library as a wonderful resource for his family. Matthew is a professor at Central College and is active in the Pella community. If approved, Matt's term would begin July 1, 2025 and expire June 30, 2028. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Vanderhorst, DeYoung, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. I would like to appoint Ethan Trump to the Library Board of Trustees. Ethan has lived in Pella since 2023 and along with his wife is a small business owner committed to the Pella community. As a small business owner, adult learner, young professional, and former member of the South Dakota Air National Guard, Ethan brings very diverse experiences and perspectives to the needs of the newer residents of Pella for education, professional development, entrepreneurship, community engagement, and life transition. If approved, Ethan's term would begin July 1, 2025 and expire June 30, 2028. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Van Strylen, Vanderhorst, any discussion? All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Motion passed. I'd like to appoint Anna Christensen to the Library Board of Trustees. Anna has lived in Pella for 8 years and grew up using the public library in Waterloo, Iowa. Anna's love of libraries grew from being a homeschooled child who utilized the library heavily, not only for academic pursuits, but also for leisure reading. Now a professor at Central College, Anna credits public library as being integral to who she is today. If approved, Anna's term would begin July 1, 2025 and expire June 30, 2028. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
I'll go DeYoung, Brandon.
That's fine.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. This time we have opportunity, anyone wishing to address council regarding an agenda item on this evening's agenda, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, address, and please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we will move on. Can I get a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Van Strylen, Branderhorst. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Branderhorst,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion passed. And enter into a public hearing on amending fiscal year 24-25 annual budget. Mike, please explain for us.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item for those in attendance and those watching at home on Pella Fiber. I'd like to direct your attention to the big board for a presentation on this item. And as Mayor DeWart stated, what tonight's public hearing is in regards is to budget amendment number 1 for the current fiscal year, which ends on June 30th, 2025. Now, one of the things I'd like to make clear with this amendment, it will not increase any taxes or rates as a result of this amendment. And really, the primary reason for this amendment is to ensure compliance with the state financial system that they have. Under the state financial system, they've identified categories based on use on there, and so it's important from the state's perspective not to have any of those expenditures exceeded. And that's the primary reason for this. You'll see there's expenditure increases, but you'll happen to notice that we don't really have any revenue offset, which some of these expenditures are. So with that, please keep this in mind, that again, we're looking for state compliance, and it's heavy on the expenditure increases, not so much on the revenue enhancements that accommodate some of these items. Now, as a result of the amendment, we're looking at a decrease of fund balance of nearly $313,000. But once again, this is for compliance purposes with the state of Iowa is the primary intent of this amendment, and we are recommending approval this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any written comments?
No written comments.
Council comments? Any member of the audience have a comment on this particular item? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Support.
DeYoung, Van Strylen, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Branderhorst,
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. So now we move to the resolution number 6843 entitled Resolution Amending the Fiscal Year 24-25 Annual Budget by Adopting Budget Amendment Number 1. With nothing to add, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Branderhorst, DeYoung, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Branderhorst,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
We had to do that for compliance with state of Iowa, and also so our auditor doesn't have to tell us that we didn't amend the budget. Okay, we're moving into a public hearing on rezoning application from Federated Fellowship. Mike?
Yes, once again, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the big board for a very brief presentation on this item. Tonight's rezoning request comes to us from Federated Fellowship Church at 411 Roosevelt Street. And what they're looking to do is rezone the eastern 20 feet of their property, which they recently acquired. So this is Federated Fellowship Church. Portion of the rezoning that we're looking at is this portion here that's highlighted up here. Now, the request this evening is to rezone the strip of land from M1 limited light industrial over to institutional zoning, which is what the church's current zoning is. Now, the intention of this rezoning is to expand their parking lot, and under city compliance, we need to have same zoning jurisdiction for parking lots as the primary structure on the property, and that's the reason for this rezoning request this evening. Now, looking at this matter, it's important to note anytime you talk about or consider a rezoning application, you always want to take a look at what the zoning districts are around there. And as you can see, Federated Fellowship Church is institutional. The proposed rezoning is institutional as well with this. And so from the zoning standpoint, this abuts institutional zoning, and this is the staff's primary recommendation is based on the existing zoning to approve tonight's rezoning request. So let's go ahead, please, Mandy. It is important to note that the Planning and Zoning Commission did consider this request at their April 28th meeting and unanimously approved the rezoning application. And equally important to note tonight that the applicant is requesting waiver of the second and third readings of the ordinance. And once again, staff is recommending approval of the request this evening.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any written comments, Mandy?
No written comments.
Council comments? Any member of the audience want to comment on this item? Okay. Yeah, to the mic, please. I want to make sure the people watching see you and hear you.
Yeah, Sean Pankman, 1344 East 6th Street here in Pella. Represent the church as one of the pastors, and I just want to publicly thank the staff in the city. This is not something we do every day as a church, and so working with Gerald and Jared through the process was a tremendous help, and they were very helpful to us as we went through, and just want to thank them and all of you for taking the time to hear this, so appreciate it.
Thanks. Anyone else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Vince Ryland, DeYoung, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Reindeerhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving to the ordinance number 1066, entitled An Ordinance Amending the Zoning Ordinance of the City of Pella, Iowa by conditionally amending the boundaries of the institutional district to include the property generally located in the western portion of 411 Roosevelt Road in Pella, Iowa, and directing the zoning administrator to note the ordinance number and date of this change on the official zoning map. This is the first reading with nothing to add. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Van Strylen, Branderhorst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Reindeerhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Move to set aside the rules and place on second reading.
We need 5, don't we?
Yep, we would have to.
Oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
we can't do it.
Sorry. Jumped the gun.
Nice try.
Just so you understand, we have to have 5 votes for this to waive the readings. Unfortunately, there's only 4 votes here, so
Thank you.
we'll have to wait till the next meeting to actually. Resolution number 68, moving on, resolution number 6844, entitled Resolution Approving Ordering the Preparation of Plans and Specifications, Form of Contract, Notice of Hearing, and Notice of Letting, setting date for public hearing, authorizing the taking of bids, and authorizing bid opening for the Lincoln Street reconstruction project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. As Mayor Ward stated, what we're starting is the legislative process for the proposed Lincoln Street reconstruction project. Now, the project that we are proposing starts 100 feet west of Houston Street and extends to East 3rd Street on Lincoln Street. It's this yellow highlighted area that we have highlighted here. The engineer's opinion of probable cost for the street reconstruction and replacement of the sanitary sewer system along with the water main is right around $1,073,000. Now, what council is really doing this evening, you're authorizing staff to seek bids for this project. If you were to approve this resolution, we would conduct a bid letting on June 12th of this year. Hopefully, we'll have a construction contract on June 17th for council's consideration. If council were to approve that construction contract on June 17th, we'd actually issue a notice to proceed on July 7th, and final completion for this project is targeted for November 21st. So with that, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of the resolution this evening. Be more than happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
Okay, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Branderhorst and Stryland, discussion. Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Reindeerhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, resolution number 6845, entitled Resolution Approving Consulting Service Agreement with Greenwood Consulting Services. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. And what this resolution does, as Mayor Ward states, it approves a consulting agreement with Greenwood Consultants. Greenwood Consulting Services, who's the principal of this, is Mr. Bob Beanstra, who's worked on several projects for the city of Pella. And explaining this request this evening, what Bob would do is assist us with the Pella Recreation Center, overseeing the construction on that, along with the University Street and Baseline Drive extension and associated utilities. And the reason for this request, as council is aware, our Public Works Director, Mr. Denny Byard, after 18 years of service, retired at the end of April. And normally when we get at the stage with projects, the Public Works Director oversees the construction of these projects. What Mr. Beanstra has agreed to do is fill in for our Public Works Director and help the city coordinate with these items. And when you look at these projects, the size and scale of these projects, it's very important that we have on-site guidance with that as well. With it, again, we have the rec center, the University Street extension, as well as the Baseline Drive extension. Most months under this agreement, the charges will be fairly minimal, but there may be months where it could be upward to $2,000 per month. What staff is proposing is during this interim period of time when we're absent a public works director, that we utilize a portion of the salary savings that we have with the public works director position and fund this agreement. So with this, Mr. Mayor, again, this is just for help to oversee the indoor recreation center project, as well as the University Street Extension project and Baseline Drive Extension project, along with the sanitary sewer system upgrades for this project as well. So we are recommending approval this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Brander Horst DeYoung, discussion?
I just wanted to state that I think Mr. Beanstra is one of the best of the best. And I have all the confidence in him and his oversight, so I was very, very happy to see this.
I would concur. In my years being in this position, we used him for a lot of things, and he's very knowledgeable. We're blessed to be able to have someone like that can fill in until we get our own public works
Yep.
director, which is a process that probably needs to take some time. It's really, really important, and so this is a really good deal for us to have him available.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, resolution number 6846, entitled Resolution Approving Donation and Construction of Agreement between the City of Pella and Spirit of Pella for the purpose of constructing an ice rink chiller system at Caldwell Park. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. As Mayor DeWart stated, what this resolution does is approves a donation agreement and construction agreement with the Spirit of Pella to construct the ice rink chiller system. Now, it is important to note when we talk about the ice rink chiller system, this is the Caldwell Park Shelter House. The chiller system would be located in this red highlighted area right here. And under the terms of the agreement, the Spirit of Pella would be responsible for raising funds for the $500,000 expected construction cost of the chiller system. The city's responsibility for this is once it is up and operating, we would operate the ice rink on it as well. So let's go ahead, please, Mandy. And I believe we've covered this. One of the key takeaway here is through the Spirit of Pella has generously stepped up and offered to pay 100% of the cost of the initial system, which is estimated to be $500,000. The city would be responsible for operating the system. Now, as far as an operational plan for it, Community Services staff has submitted a tentative budget for this, and it's about these costs. But if we were to do nothing like we currently, not nothing, but if we just let people show up at the ice rink and skate as usual, pay the utility cost, and we don't do any enhanced staffing on there or services out of there, we believe the annual utility cost would be right around $15,000 for the City of Pella. And Mandy, let's go ahead, please. Now, some key dates under the agreement is, under the terms of the agreement, the Spirit of Pella would have until March 1st, 2026 to raise the funds. If they were able to meet that target timeline, the construction of the project would be late spring, summer of 2026. Hopefully with the project completion the summer of 2026 as well. And Mr. Mayor, it is important to note that this agreement is very similar to the mini pitch system that we have installed or previously approved for Caldwell Park. Equally important to note that staff is recommending approval of the donation and construction agreement this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support?
Ms. Strylen, Brander Horst, discussion?
Do we have any idea what the useful life of a system like this is?
The estimate we have, the.
Can you grab that mic right by you, Bob? Because I got a couple questions too, so we'll put you on the spot.
The estimate we have, the tubing that actually goes under the ice is probably the longest or shortest lived part of the piece. And we think that's about 15 years is the estimate we have from the consultant. The chiller system itself, which is where a lot of the money comes into, it's got an estimated life of 25 years.
So what, how good or what temperature does it work to?
It should keep good scalable ice, hard ice, as long as the prevailing outside temperature is 50 degrees or less.
Wow.
And it's helped enormously by being in the shade in the shelter house, and also the concrete underneath it was insulated at the time of installation. So those two things actually make it quite a bit more robust than typically you would expect out of this kind of a temporary system. And by temporary, we'll roll it up in the summer, put it in storage, and put the shelter house back into conventional shelter house usage.
I was surprised. I thought it wouldn't, I didn't think it'd be that high of a temperature.
Yeah,
That should take care of most winters around here.
But we expect it's gonna be running from Thanksgiving through the end of March. So it gives you a nice long season and a fair amount of enthusiasm about it among the donor class.
So I have a question on the tubes, you said they're the shortest live item, that they have the shortest life.
Right.
So something, if it breaks, I mean, they can splice it and.
They can do some repairs on it, but it's just the rolling it up, it's actually laid out like a mat with tubes built into that. You
Okay.
roll it up every season, put it in storage. It's just sort of the rolling and unrolling is where the biggest use factor comes in.
What kind of material runs through that? Is it ammonia?
It's a glycol that actually runs through it for the
Okay.
coolant.
Okay, all right. So it could be fixed? If
It
there's a
can be
hole
fixed,
in it,
yeah.
okay, great. Thank you.
I'll get my bicycle tube repair kit.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking on this project, you and the Spirit. I
Well, the
think-
Spirit of Pella, really
Yeah,
came out of that.
these are the projects that give a community depth, and I'm just so greatly appreciative that you're spearheading this. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, then we'll vote on the motion. So all in favor, please say yes. Oh, thanks, Bob, by the way. All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Dino.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, resolution number 6847, entitled Resolution Approving Engagement Agreement with Allers and Cooney PC to act as bond and disclosure counsel for the City of Pella in connection with local option sales tax and services tax revenue bonds. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, once again, I'd like to draw everyone's attention to the big board for presentation on this item. As Mayor DeWart stated, this resolution this evening is with the Allers and Cooney Law Firm, and it's to serve as bond counsel and disclosure counsel for the proposed local option sales and services tax bond issue that is associated with the Pella Recreation Center. It is important to note that the Allers and Cooney Law Firm has served in this capacity for the city for several years. Now, as far as the fees are concerned this evening, we have a total projected fees of $95,000 for this issue. Equally important to note that we do have an itemization of the various functions, the bond counsel fee on this, and this is the opinion letter on whether the bonds are taxable or not taxable, or non-taxable bonds. On this is $50,000. The disclosure counsel, which is mainly the city's reporting requirements under the bond issue, $17,000. Equally important to note that the Allers and Cooney Law Firm typically bills when you get to bond counsel on bond issues, and they've been working on this for some time, even dating back to the city's election for the local option sales and services tax. So there are some invoices they had not billed the city for. We will go through and make sure that that was work committed and that we haven't already paid for these, but at first blush, it appears to be just shy of $28,000 on it as well, and that's what comprises the $95,000 fees. So Mandy, is this the slide that we have? So we are recommending approval this evening. And Mr. Mayor, equally important to note, if council were to approve this with such as most fees as the bond council fees, they would be paid from the bond proceeds of the local option sales and services tax bond.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
I'll move.
Support.
DeYoung, Van Strylen, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Dino.
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, resolution number 6848, entitled Resolution Fixing Date for a Meeting on the proposition of the issuance not to exceed $17 million local option sales tax and sales and services tax revenue bond of the City of Pella, State of Iowa, and providing for publication of notice thereof. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. And really what this resolution does is it starts the legislative process for a proposed bond issue to help fund the Pella Indoor Recreation and Aquatic Center. As council is aware, but maybe for members in the audience or those watching at home at Pella Fiber earlier this year, Council did approve a construction contract for the indoor recreation center, and this proposed bond issue is intended to help fund that construction contract. It is important to note with the legislative process, the maximum not to exceed on the bond issue is $17 million, which has been consistent as we've discussed the city's long-term financial plan, facility plan, Now, equally important to know what we're really doing is we're establishing June 3rd as the public hearing date for the bond issue. Prior to that, we'll have bids for the bond issue, and the closing on this issue is expected to be sometime in July. At that time, the formal bond documents will be considered by the City of Pella as well. So more information to come on this proposed issue, and really what we're doing is starting the legislative process by establishing June 3rd as the public hearing date for the proposed bond issue.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
DeYoung, Branderhorst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, resolution number 6849, entitled Resolution Declaring an official intent under Treasury Regulation 1.150-2 to issue debt to reimburse the city for certain original expenditures paid in connection with specified projects. Mike?
Be happy to explain this item, Mr. Mayor. And what we're really doing here is we're approving a resolution which is necessary for IRS to comply with the Internal Revenue Services regulations on tax exempt debt. And specifically, we have some timing issues that are concerned. As council is aware, we've approved a construction contract for the recreation center. The bond issue is proposed to happen later this summer. It's likely we're going to incur expenditures before then. What this resolution does is it allows us to look back and recapture those expenditures and reimburse ourselves once we issue the bonds for the project as well. So with that, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of this resolution this evening.
All right, can I get a motion for approval?
So, support. Whatever.
DeYoung, Branderhorst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to resolution number 6850, entitled Resolution Declaring an Official Intent under Treasury Regulation 1.14-4C3 to allocate certain payments to equity in connection with specified projects. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. And once again, it's important to realize when we talk about this resolution, it's meant to address the tax exempt debt portion of the proposal of auction sales and services bond issue. And specifically what this does, and I'm going to preface my comments, we're very fortunate with the city's recreation center. It's roughly a $35.1 million project, and roughly $18 million of the proposed project is coming from sources other than the City of Pella, which is a significant amount of funds. But from a bond council standpoint, anytime you have a significant amount of non-city funding on projects, there's always a concern about private usage for the rec center, any type of project with that. And when private usage happens, what that means is your bond issue is would be deemed a taxable bond issue. And just to explain why this is important on this, is a taxable bond issue has about 150 basis points higher interest rates than a tax exempt bond issue. So it's a significant cost with this. What we're doing for the third party allocation, so this is mainly the donations that are being made by Pella Rec to the city's project on this, is we're classifying that we're using its equity to reimburse for a portion of the construction costs, and that there's likely not private usage involved with most of these donations on it. And that's the intent, and it's necessary for our IRS regulations on it. So with that, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of this resolution this evening, which is mainly to allow the city to issue tax exempt bonds to help finance the Pella Indoor Recreation Center project.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
With Charlene DeYoung, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to ordinance number 1067, entitled An Ordinance Amending Water Rates in the City of Pella, Iowa. This is the first reading. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. As Mayor Ward stated, what this ordinance would do is it proposes a 5% increase in water rates. It is important to note that we did discuss this during the 2006 budget process on it. And just in a nutshell, we have ongoing CIP items for the water utility, as well as long-term, I call them long-term planning items, such as potentially the addition of a third well for the system as well. We believe a rate increase is necessary to adequately fund ongoing maintenance as well as the operation of the water treatment plant and distribution system. Now, if council were to approve this, the impact to the typical residential customer is less than $3 per month on this as well. So I believe that concludes our presentation this evening. Be more than happy to answer. Oh, I better state this. The new rates would be effective on July 1st of this year, and this would be for bills that are due to the city's customers on August 20th as well, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So
Support.
Brandon Horst DeYoung. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, ordinance number 1068, an ordinance amending sanitary sewer rates in the city of Pella, Iowa. This is the first reading. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and once again, I'd like to refer everyone's attention to the big board for this item. Very similar to the water rate increase, but this increase is for the sanitary sewer on there, the wastewater utility, and it'd be a 5% increase effective on July 1st. And once again, we did discuss this during the city's recent budget process. And it is necessary to support ongoing maintenance and operation of our sanitary sewer treatment and collection system. Very similar to the water rate utility, it's less than a $3 increase for the typical residential customer. Mandy, let's go ahead, please. Now on this, important to note that if the new rates are approved, they would be effective on July 1st of this year, and this would be for bills that are due on August 20th.
Okay, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Van Strylen, DeYoung. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Does our inability to waive the other readings hinder our ability to start July 1?
We don't believe so.
Okay. Moving on to ordinance number 1069, entitled an ordinance amending municipal telecommunication utility rates in the city of Pella, Iowa. First reading. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and as Mayor DeWart stated, we had several enhancements that we have with this ordinance, and this deals with the city's phone service that we provide. And we do have listed up the enhancements on the big board as well. In addition, we have some new services from the internet as well as specifically a 5 gigabit internet service as well that we will be offering our customers. One of the key takeaways, in addition to the cloud-based phone system that we are proposing as well on this, is we have a consolidation of the city's existing commercial accounts phone rates. Currently, commercial customers pay $25 a month for local service and $20 per line for long distance. What we're proposing to do is consolidate those rates and have a new rate of $30 per month, which everyone under that scenario would also receive long distance services. So with this, we believe the consolidation for the city's current commercial and tax-exempt customers is be no significant change in their current bills with this. And we, as a result, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of this ordinance this evening.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Brandon Horst DeYoung. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to abstract of bills number 2175. Can I get a motion for approval?
Move to approve and issue warrants.
Support.
Brandon Horst, Van Strylen. Any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Any council member have any other business you'd like to have addressed this evening?
I just have a comment. I know that everyone recognizes the fact that we have the most amazing first responders around in this community. And in 1 week's time, my husband and I bear witness to the response time of the ambulance, the fire, and the police in 2 weeks ago, in 1 week, we had an active auto fire where a car's engine caught on fire and was fully engulfed. And within minutes, all of our first responders were there at our business and securing the location. Then there was 2 days after that, there was a horrific accident in front of our business where a car hit a motorcycle, and the response time of the police, the fire, and the ambulance was incredible. And them guiding the life flight onto the property to take the motorcycle accident victim was just humbling. And as I watched it on our security cameras, it just, even now I kind of have a hard time with it. It brought me to tears because it showed me that they were there within 3 minutes of the accident. That's incredible to me. And then after that, we had a bad check written by an out-of-town visitor, and it was a doozy of a week, really. And Nick and I just kind of mentioned it in passing to the police. 2 days later, they had the case solved, found the person that wrote the check, and we were able to get payment. So I'm telling you what, we are a very blessed community. And gentlemen, I would like you to take that back to your departments, because I'm so humbled by your response time. Thank you.
Okay, Jake?
Nancy Olson, the lady in the motorcycle, is doing great.
Good. Here, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, the gal in the motorcycle is doing great. You know, I happen to know that gal. Awesome.
Time sure matters.
Yes.
I have an information piece here. Next Tuesday, Governor Kim Reynolds is going to sign House File 306, which is an act relating to the dissemination and exhibition of obscene material to minors and provides penalties. So our legislature is helping control some of this material that's going on. We'll see where it applies and how it works out.
Okay. Anything else, council? Okay, any member of the public have any other issue you would like to address council with this evening? If so, please come to that microphone, state your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Rhonda Kermode, 510 Broadway Street. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Tulip Tower. I noticed it's on policy and planning, and I noted that there was a request to the color change of the gold stripe to a white stripe. And I believe that Bruce Borchie sent you all a pretty comprehensive story and article about the Tulip Tower. And so it has always been the gold stripe in the middle, from the time it was the original wooden tower, and then when they reconstructed it in 1968, they kept that color gold. At some point before they repainted it just this last time, the eagles and the other stripe, I think, had turned kind of a grayish color. I don't know if that was an intentional painting. I was also told that it was perhaps the type of paint that was used faded to that color. So I don't think it was ever really an intentional color change. So I think it's important to kind of keep that the same color. It's a historic, it really could be designated as a historic landmark. It's over 50 years old. And I think the color scheme meant something, and I think it's important to keep that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we will move into policy and planning to discuss item 1 is a funding request from the Heart of Iowa Regional Transit Agency, better known as HRTA. I believe we have a representative here.
Brooke, are you on the phone?
Brooke, I know we got a more extensive in our packet, the request, and so does anybody have any questions for Brooke? Or we have a discussion amongst ourselves as far as the funding. Do we have any of that information, just what was in our packet?
And I think the request was, what, $21,640, I think?
You got anything to add,
And
Mike?
again, Mayor, what we would ask is on this, the reason we brought this to policy and planning is specifically with the funding request. We haven't looked into this initially on this request, but if you'd like us to, we'd be happy to look into it and report back on the $21,000 request and our recommendation on it. But before we started that, we wanted to make sure that you wanted us to look into it more.
Is your fiscal year July through June? Brooke? Yes. And so you're still crafting a budget for this coming July through July 1 of 25 through June 30 of 26?
Yes, we had planned to have it for board approval on Thursday of this week. However, we still have some outstanding items such as this one. So the board chair has decided to put it off until next month.
So, yeah, we obviously won't have anything for you by Thursday, so you put it off for 1 month until June. What's the date in June?
I think it's the 26th. Our board meets the fourth Thursday of every month. It's only monthly meeting, so I know that comes really close to the 1st of July. But we think that makes more sense.
Okay, so I think we can have an answer by then for you. I think we should talk about it anyway, pursue it, see exactly where we might find the funding. I think it's an important service here in Pella. But anyway, I think we should have a deeper conversation if we get more information. Does everybody agree? Okay, so we will be getting back to you at some point in the near future, hopefully.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's time and the consideration, and again, happy to answer any additional questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to our discussion regarding the Tulip Torn renovation project.
Hi, yes, Mr. Mayor, and tonight's policy and planning session is regarding the Tulip Torn. A little bit of some background on the project. We did complete the renovation project in 2024. Shortly after we had completed the renovation project, and we do have a picture of the Tulip Torn up here as it currently stands with the color. There were some concerns raised by elected officials concerning the color of the metal band, and specifically, we believe the request was to paint it white or return the color to white on it. Now, the original contractor who completed the renovation project in 2024, they have some warranty work that they're going to have to come back and complete on the Tulip Torn this summer. We did get a quote from them to change the color back to white, and they quoted, while they're doing the warranty work, an additional $8,500 to the City of Pella. And so with this, we are seeking council direction on repainting of the middle band from the gold color to a white color on the Tulip Torn with this. If council is in favor of changing the colors, we'd be happy to go out and get additional quotes on this as well. But we're looking for council's guidance on this matter.
Okay, so yes, we need to, does council want to move to change the color and repaint that and spend some extra money, or leave it as is? And that's the question before us. I know Bruce sent us a lengthier email, maybe today I got it, discussing the original, I guess it was a wooden structure in the 40s, about 42. He provided a picture. I don't think that one's up there, is it?
No, it's not, but
Yeah.
he sent a picture of the 42 and I think the 68.
68, yeah. So, yeah, like, have at it.
I guess I would say, the Nederlandse wapen, the Dutch crest, coat of arms, has the gold,
Mhm.
but I have never been able to find a picture of bands that look like the Dutch flag with any gold. And when I've had visitors from the Netherlands, they've always made the comments, rood, wit, blauw, red, white, blue. And we have the authentic red, and if you look at the picture on the left, we have the authentic blue. And if you look at the older pictures, maybe it's after I guess I would call it a kind of a silver gold. It wasn't nearly as gold as it now is, because I don't have any problem with the House of Orange Nassau crest gold. But like I say, I've had so many comments from the Dutch visitors, one of which had an aunt who was in the parliament, were always impressed with those bands that say, oh, those look like the bands of the Dutch flag. I know Bruce made the comment about, historical to Pella, but I don't think it's historical to the Netherlands. And obviously we can't talk to Piet Kuiper, but I talked to Piet Kuiper's daughter, how she felt about it, and this is a quote from Eunice Kuiper Volkerts, and she said, oh, this is not good. I think the intention was the Dutch flag. See if you can get them to paint that yellow stripe white. Anyway, she said, when she went by it, she reacted much the same as I did. This is not good. And I've had other people that talk about that mustard yellow or mustard gold. Because as I look at those stripes, they have nothing to do with the royal house, the House of Orange. Those are bands that look like the Dutch flag. They have nothing to do with the crest. They have nothing to do with the Je mantendrai, the statement of I shall maintain, the statement of the Royal House of the Netherlands. So I don't think that, and if you look at those old pictures that Bruce sent us, they're nothing like that mustard yellow or mustard gold. It was a very, very soft, almost like a silver gold, and nothing like that gold that was put on there. I was absolutely devastated when I came around the corner the first time and saw that color up there. So, my comment, I've had other people talk to me personally, and I have other emails about that color. If you look at the one at the left, that's what I remember, and those are the comments that I got from visitors from the Netherlands. And those are the comments, as I just said, that I got from Piet Kuiper. My wife's office used to be extremely close to Piet Kuiper's office. And my, oh my, I wish I had talked to Piet Kuiper about that band, but I didn't.
But I believe in Bruce's comments, he said that Pete and Lucille Kuiper paid to put this up, and they were quite fine with the colors.
But that color was extremely different from that color. Extremely different.
So what you're saying is you're not in objection to a color other than the white. You would like it to be taken to a different shade of gold.
Well,
Because
Well,
as
well.
a person that just just had a rather extensive Dutch immersion 3 weeks ago, I saw gold as the accent color in every community we were in and on every crest. And particularly with the House of Orange, which is on every lamp post, there's a crown, orange crown with outlay of gold representing the House of Orange, which is the house of our founders.
But you saw bands?
I,
See, I've never seen bands. Obviously, you have the gold on the crest, on the Nederlandse Wappen.
always, yes.
Always. But I've never seen anything. I looked at all kinds of pictures, both on the Nederlandse Wappen and under, you know, the House of Orange crest, and I never found anything like that with gold.
Bands is what you're
Bands.
talking about.
I've never found any bands with gold.
Right.
And even the original Dutch colors that we had on the Tulip Tower were nothing like that mustard gold or mustard, you know, yellow.
Mhm.
If you look at the picture on the left, I remember seeing it, and even on the ground when they painted it, what was that, 2012? I don't know the date. It looked basically white. Look at the picture on the left. And look at the one down below. It's like a silvery gold.
Right.
It's
A
nothing like,
metallic gold.
Right.
So I'll kind of rephrase my question. You're not in opposition to a color other than white being in there. You're not in opposition to a gold, but it needs to be a different shade of gold.
I would sooner see it white, because it looks like the bands of the Dutch flag.
Well, I won't deny you that.
I mean, I could never find any pictures of bands like that. And
How long has the Netherlands had the flag that they have now?
1660.
So it was around the 40s and 60s.
Oh yeah, they've had this flag since 1660.
Because I don't think there's any issue with it looking like the flag. In 1942, when they first built this thing, the
The flag
percentage
was-
of Dutch people living in Pella was significantly higher than that, right? And in 1968, it was significantly higher than it is now.
Right.
And they chose this color for the Tulip Tower.
Yeah, and
So I
haven't-
don't understand the offensive for Dutch, because
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm the last guy to talk about colors, because
I don't know why they picked that silvery
But
color
it seems
instead
to
of
me
white.
historically, and when we first painted this thing, we had a pretty lengthy discussion about where the colors came from, and it was just bringing them back to what it was in 1942 and in 1968, so.
Maybe in Pella, but not in the Netherlands.
Well, that's where we're at, is Pella, it's Pella's Tulip Tower.
But we tend to get a lot of our culture from the
Yes,
Netherlands.
we sure do.
We don't get it from Mosinine or somewhere.
Starting to use words I don't know what you're talking
Well,
So anyway.
I'll go with the flow, but personally, this is a tempest in a teapot.
Like I say, I've heard so many comments from the Dutch, from the Netherlands. And I guess another reason I oppose the gold is because the Germans have gold in their flag, and the Netherlands were invaded by Germany in 1940, 2 years before 1942.
Well, and I mean, I know the history and that, so it seems to me that if gold was offensive to Dutch people because of the Germans, why in 1942 would they put gold and then redo it in 1968 when
Yeah.
the percentage of Dutch, the people who had actually been touched personally by those events
That silvery,
would not say anything about it at that point.
that
That's what
silvery
doesn't make sense to
gold
me.
was very different than this that was done in,
Well,
it was 2024.
Obviously, I'm sure paint has changed since these years, so it probably is the same color and maybe.
Well, it's a very different.
Anyway, is there an appetite to spend this money to redo,
Well, I think we could get a couple more bids. I think some local people do it for less than 8,500. And then the other question is on the paint that's up there that needs repair. It hasn't held up very long. I'm concerned about, you can go up there and do warranty work, but how long will the warranty work last? I talked to one painter. He knew he found out what kind of paint was being used, and it wasn't the paint that he would have recommended. So painting is a big chemistry class today, and I don't understand much of it, but I'd be concerned. You go back up there and fix the blue. I've got pictures of the blue that's faded and run and whatever, and how long will it last? I don't know. I guess we'll let him do his warranty. I'd let him do his warranty work, and then we can talk more or do more research or ponder, get local bids and see what they would do to redo it. I don't know if you can paint over that paint or if you gotta take all that paint off. Now there's a whole bunch of questions I don't know the answer to.
I think it'd be, in my head, it'd be hard for me to imagine they could just paint over that gold with
Yeah.
white and not
Take a
tear it
couple
all
coats.
out. So,
Yeah, you'd have to sandblast it.
yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like it'd take a lot of work to get it done.
Well, I'd fix what we
Do
got.
you want to bring this back for discussion, or we're just gonna let them do his work or not? I wish we had two other guys here to weigh in, but.
Let them do their warranty work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't see a big appetite to redo the thing, so let's get the warranty work done and see if we break back up.
Thank you.
I'm with John, I would like to know what that warranty is.
Okay. I will follow up on that.
Because that didn't really last very, when was that painted, last year?
Yeah, late in the fall.
Yeah. So they need to do something different.
Yeah.
So it's gonna last 6 months.
Yeah, that's not good, so. Okay. Long-term facility plan update.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, what we have this evening, I just wanted to have a brief discussion. You may have noticed with the proposed local option sales and services tax bond issue that it was dedicated purely towards the indoor recreation center. A little bit of background on the reasoning for that is, in order to issue tax exempt debt, we have to get bond counsel's opinion that the issue is tax exempt. Now, generally what they look at is private usage of facilities. And so anytime, just to paraphrase, anytime or summarize, anytime that you have leases of a facility that you're leasing out to non-public entities, causes problems in issuing debt for projects for the city. Now, in the community center's case, we have some tenants that have been with the city for a period of time, both Crossroads and Union Street players. And the rule of thumb is if you have private usage over 10% of the facility, that you're generally wise to be issuing taxable debt as opposed to tax exempt debt on it. Now, in this case, we mentioned earlier in the meeting, the community center, if you recall, we had the bond issue the lost bond that would be dedicated to both the community center and the recreation center. What we're proposing is just to use the recreation center for the bond issue, and the reason is taxable debt. And that was one option given to the city on this bond issue, is if we include the community center, due to the time frame, the short time frame, we had to make decisions that we just issue taxable debt. Well, there's a significant cost on a $17 million bond issue for the interest rate on this, as well as far as issuing taxable debt. As a result, what we're proposing to do is, for the funding sources for the rec center, is to use the local option sales and services tax bond issue for the recreation center, use the city's cash on hand for the community center. Now, this is fully funded with both projects, but it's simply just a change in the funding sources for the project. So Mandy, let's go ahead, please. This is the city's facility plan, and as you can see, where we're at right now is basically a $50.6 million plan. We have city cash contributions at $5.5 million, the lost bond and lost cash at $17 million. Mandy, let's go ahead and show the recreation center. With this, we use the lost bond for the $17 million plus the lost cash on hand to come up with $17 million for the rec center. That's a $35.1 million project on it. Mandy, let's go ahead to the community center. The community center would use the city's cash contribution plus the Friends of the community center as well to come up with a base project of $7,785,000. So once again, we're designating funding sources. The lost bond would go towards the rec center. City's cash on hand would go towards the community center. The reason for this is to avoid issuing taxable debt for these projects, which would be a significant cost to the city of Pella to do that. So it's just an informational piece. Mr. Mayor, we wanted to make sure we inform council on it and to address any questions that council may have on this. So,
Well, it's really important that it's tax-free debt, so whatever gymnastics you have to go through to make sure that happens, that's how it's gotta be. I mean, we've kind of always talked about it this way, that the 17 million was for the rec center and the 5.5 was for the community center, so. Okay?
okay. All right, as far as items that we have tentatively scheduled for June, there's additional items outside of these, but these are items that are likely to be discussed in June in upcoming meetings. And so with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that council may have on any other city project.
Yeah.
What about the Hazel Street sidewalk?
We have that up there. We're trying to get that project actually let and start the legislative process because we'd like to have the sidewalk installed before school starts. There's one easement on the south end of the project that we are in the process of trying to secure right now. And so
We have the design.
we have the project is designed on it and we're waiting to get the land acquisition taken care of, and then we'll have a policy and planning session on that one as well. So, but the goal is to get that project let this summer and hopefully have it completed before school starts.
That'd be great. All right, thank you.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So,
Vanderhorst, Butler, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst?
Yes.
Butler?
yes.
Van Stryland?
Yes.
DeYoung?
Yes.
Motion passed. We are adjourned.